chapter 5 is dealing with percent. Okay, so a lot of you might not be realizing that we are dealing with percent very, very frequently in our daily life. Okay, not just in our business life, our personal life as well. And the example of percent, okay, will be such as if you have any bank accounts that you are saving money in your checking account or your saving account. Certain saving accounts and checking accounts, you are going to be able to earn interest, okay, and CD as well. If you own a home, okay, you might not have paid off your mortgage yet, and notice that the mortgage rate is also in percent. If you finance a car, okay, didn't buy your car with cash, then your car might also you might also pay your car payment with a interest rate. If you owe credit card money, okay, credit company money, then you are going to also have to pay a finance rate, and those are in percent. Even airline companies are required to publish their on-time percentage rate for every one of their flights. Okay, and then when you go to the grocery store, okay, sometimes you see, this dish detergent is $2.50, right? But then when you go to the checkout counter to pay for that $2.50 detergent, dish detergent, you are going to pay more than $2.50 because sales tax will be added to those parts of the items. And our Social Security taxes and Medicares are also in percent, okay? And also, when you are figuring out your paycheck, the amount of the federal income tax withholding is also calculated with percent. Right? So it's very important to know how we convert the percent into their decimal before we can operate or calculate the math operation. Okay, so that we will be able to get the accurate number. And example of a sales tax for 5%, probably we can't find 5% sales tax in anywhere in LA County right now, right? So I think the cheapest the sales tax rate is about 7.75 if you are in maybe Riverside County, because the Arcadia parts of the LA, San Gabriel Valley now is 10.25%, if I'm not mistaken, or if it hasn't been changed. Okay, so it's basically what's higher than what it used to be. So sales tax, if we have sales tax at 5%, okay, we can write or read this 5% as 5% means per 100. Okay, so I can say this is 500, okay, or 5 over 100. Let me get my pen. So percent means per 100. Okay, so if we have 5%, we can say this is 5 per 100, so it's 5 over 100, and then we know that if it's 5 over 100, we can convert any number that's divided by the power of 10, right? So divide by power of 10, simply write down 5. The decimal point is on the right-hand side of the 5, the whole number. And then there are 2 zeros, okay, in the power of 10. So we are moving decimal points 2 places to the left. 1, 2. Okay, insert 0 in the empty spots. If there's no preceding whole number, then we will insert a 0 in the whole number part. So it will be 0.05. Okay, and if we are not certain, then we can simply divide this out, right? 5 divided by 100, and we can have first number is our dividend, and the number after the division point, division notation is our divisor. So we can have 5 go into the division brackets, our dividend, and then 100 is our divisor. So dividing these, and we know in the division process, we will have to place our decimal points straight up on quotient, and now dividing these as whole number, right? So we have 3 digits in the divisor, okay, but we only have 1 digit in the dividend. So obviously 5 is too small for 100 to go even once. We can have 100 go 0 times. and I can add as many zeros after the decimal point. 50 divided by 100 is still too small, so I add 0. Okay, continue divide 500 by 100. I can have 100 go 5 times, and 5 times 0 is 0, 5 times 0 is 0, 5 times 1 is 5. So this will be 0.05. Okay, so that's how we get 0.05, or if you remember the shortcut, dividing any whole number by a power of 10, simply move the decimal point to as many places to the left as they are zeros in the power of 10. Okay? So we can also express this 5 over 100, not just in decimal form, 0.05. We can also write this as 5 over 100. And we also know how to reduce our fraction to the lowest term, right? So this could also be expressed as 1 over 20. Okay, so various way to express our 5%. Okay, so notice that you can read these in decimal numbers in words, and I mean percent in words, and then percent into decimal, percent into fractions. So remember, percent means per 100, or percent could also mean over 100. Okay. Now, if you could write a percent into in words, then we can convert percent into decimal. So there are steps to follow. Number 1, if percent has a fraction part, then we will need to convert that fraction into its equivalent decimal. So that's step number 1. If there's no fraction in percent, then we can move directly to step number 2. Okay, step number 2 will be moving decimal point 2 places to the left when we are converting percent into decimal, and then removing percent symbol. Okay, and at any time, if the decimal has no preceding whole number, we will write 0 to the left of the decimal point. So if there's no whole number in the whole number area, we need to write 0. Okay, so here will be a few examples. And know that percent convert to decimal, simply dividing that percentage number by 100, and then remove the percent symbol. Or if you remember, dividing by 100 is dividing by a power of 10, you could use the shortcut, moving the decimal point 2 places to the left, and then remove percent symbol. So either way, just pick one that you feel more comfortable with. Okay, so when we have 85%, okay, we know that 85% means 85. Hold on. 85 over 100. Percent means per 100, right? Then we can simply divide 85 by 100, okay? Manually, if you are not sure which way that you should move your decimal points, to the left or to the right, right? If you don't remember, simply divide 85 by 100, okay? And here we have 2 decimal places in dividend. The first number before the division or the fraction bars is our dividend. And then the number after the fraction bar or the division notation is our divisor. Now, divisor is 100 and the dividend is only 85, 2 digits, right? So we are moving decimal point straight up on quotient. 85 divided by 100 is simply too small, so we can only have 100 go 0 times. At 0 after decimal point, now 850 divided by 100, I can have 100 go 8 times and make 800. And here we have 50, okay? And then we can continue to bring down the 0. At 0, bring down the 0. 500 divided by 100, I can have 100 go 5 times and make 500. So 85 divided by 100 simply is 0.85. Okay, so this method is method number 1, which this one is method number 1. Method number 2, simply if I have 85%, okay, then we write down the number part without percent here, which is 85, right? Any whole number has their decimal form, and the decimal form of a whole number is that decimal point is right after the last digits of the whole number. And changing percent into decimal, okay? We know it's divided by 100 because percent means per 100. And when we are dividing, okay, we are moving decimal points 2 places to the left. So 1 place, 2 places, okay? And then this will be our new decimal point. So it will be 0, and then there's no preceding whole number, right? So we add the whole number as 0, and then 0.85, and then remove the percent symbol. So this will be method number 2, okay? So every time we are changing percent to decimal, we are removing the percent symbol. So a keyword, when we say remove the percent symbol, we are taking away the percent symbol. So we are going to be having less than its original whole number. So we know that if we are having less, we are moving decimal points to the left. Okay, so that's just 2 ways that we can calculate problems converting percent into decimal. Okay, the second example, we have 154%. And if I use method number 2, I can simply moving decimal points 2 places to the left, right? And then here will be our new decimal point, and it will be 1.54, and then removing the percent symbol. Okay, so that's method number 2. Method number 1, simply divide 154% means per 100, so write down 100, and I can place the decimal points at the end of the last digits of the whole number, and then move that decimal point straight up. Okay, here we have 154 divided by 100. I can have 100 go 1 time. And then here I have 4, I have 5, 1 minus 1 is 0. Okay, add a 0 and then bring that down. And then I can have 100 go 5 times. And then 0, 0, 5. So here we have 40. Okay, add 1 more 0 and then bring that down. 400 divided by 100, I can have 100 go 4 times. And then it will be 1.54. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward converting percent into decimal. Okay, so when we have 7.5%, okay, this is a little bit different compared to the last 2 were whole number in percent form, right? So this one is a percent but contains decimal. And remember, the first 2, they were whole number, but we still need to locate the decimal points after the whole number, right? And the decimal number in percent, we actually had the decimal points identified. So it's same thing. You divide this decimal number by 100, okay, and remove the percent, or shortcut will be moving the key decimal point 2 places to the left, right? So when we are moving the decimal points 2 places to the left, okay, you basically removing these old decimal points and then move it 1 space and then 2 places to the left, right? Here will be your new decimal point, and then insert 0 here in the empty spot if there's no whole number, and insert 0. So it will be 0.075, right? And then remove the percent symbol. And then if you're not sure about which direction to move the decimal point, okay, we know 7.5% means 70.5 per 100. That's 7.5 over per 100, right? And we can simply divide these out. The first number go inside the division brackets. That's our dividend. And then the number below the fraction bar or after the division notation will be our divisor. Okay, move the decimal point straight up because our divisor is a whole number. So we don't have to move the decimal points to the right to make the divisor as a whole number. So dividing these as whole number, if I have 75 divided by 100, I know it's going to be too small for 100 go once. For the first digit, it's 75, so 2 digits is still too small for 100 to go even 1 time to make 75, it will be greater than 75, so it will be too big, right? So 750 divided by 100, I can have 100 go 7 times, make 700, okay? And 7 minus 7 is 0, bring down the 500, bring down 1 more 0, make 500, and divide by 100, I can have 100 go 5 times. So here we have 0.075. Same thing as we did with the shortcuts, moving decimal points. Now, the other example will be when we see a percent that contains a fraction, okay? So here, 1 over 4%, and we need to convert that into decimal, okay? So the earlier steps, we say if at any time we see percent contains a fraction, we need to convert that in the fraction part into its equivalent decimal number, right? So from here, 1 over 4%. Okay, so I'm going to convert this fraction into percent. Okay, so I'm not going to convert percent into decimal just yet, right? So I'm going to continue to write down my percent symbol. 1 over 4. Okay, so there are two ways that we can convert this into a decimal form. Number one, okay, we know whole number is 1, okay, and then we just need to figure out what's the 1/4, the fraction part, right? And if you have divided this before, okay, first number is our dividend divided by the divisor is underneath our fraction bar. I have whole number in my divisor, so we don't need to convert this into a whole number by moving decimal points. If we do not convert moving decimal points in divisor, we don't have to move decimal points on dividend either, right? So I'm placing my decimal points after 1, the whole number, and then moving that decimal point straight up on quotient. Now 1 divided by 4, that's too it's too small for 4 go even once. So we can have 4 go 0 times. At 0, 10 divided by 4, I can have 4 go 2 times and make 8. Here we have 2, right? At the 0, bring that down. 20 divided by 4, I can have 4 go 5 times. 5 times 4 will be 20, so we can divide this evenly. Okay, so I know that 1 over 4 is 0.25. Okay, so 1/4 will be 1.25. So we just did a conversion of the fraction into decimal. So that's method number 1. Method number 2 is that we could simply convert these mixed number into improper fraction, right? So remember how we convert a mixed number into improper fraction? You multiply whole number by denominator and add numerator. So 1 whole number times denominator 4 and add numerator 1, and then over 4, right? So here 1 times 4 is 4 at 1, 5 over 4, right? So we are dividing this. 5 over 4 means 5 divides by 4, okay? So here, let me change a different color. I can write down 5 divided by 4, okay? 4 is a whole number in divisor, no need to change decimal points. If we don't change decimal points on divisor, we don't need to change decimal points on dividend. Okay, write down the decimal point after the whole number, move it up straight on quotient. And 5 divided by 4, I can have 4 go once. 1 times 4 is 4. Subtract that from 5, I have 1 left. I can add 0, bring that down. 10 divided by 4, I can have 4 go 2 times and make 2 times 4 is 8. Subtract that from 10, I have 2 left, add 1 more 0, and then bring that down. 20 divided by 4, I can have 4 go 5 times and make 20. So here you have 1.25. So same thing as 1.25, which you convert the fraction part and then add that to the whole number. So same way, some of you might prefer to do it as method number 1. Some of you might prefer to work it as method number 2. Okay, so here will be 1.25. And we haven't converted the percent into decimal just yet. What we did here is to convert our fraction part into its equivalent decimal number, right? So that's step number 1. Step number 2, then we will convert that decimal into the decimal in fraction into its equivalent decimal. Okay, so what we do here is simply write down 1.25, okay, and then we divide that by 100 and remove the percent symbol. Method number 1. Method number 2, moving decimal point 2 places to the left. 1 and 2. Okay, insert 0 here. And then there's no preceding whole number, so we insert 0 in front of the decimal point. So it'll be 0.0125. Okay? And then make sure that the percent symbol is removed. Or you could simply use method number, this is method number 2, right? Method number 1, 1.25%. Percent means per 100 or over 100, right? So you can divide this by 100. and then you're still going to be able to get 0.0125. Okay? Okay, so I can divide this evenly if I lay out these correctly, dividing by 100. 100 is a whole number, no need to move decimal point. If we don't move decimal points in divisor, we don't need to move decimal points on dividend. Move the decimal point straight up on quotient. And 1 divided by 100, like too small, I think we can only have 100 go 0 times. 2 digits 12 divided by 100, we can also only have 100 go 0 times. 125, I can have 100 go once. At 0, bring that down. 250 have divided by 100, I can have 100 go 2 times. And then here you have 50. Add one more 0 and then bring that down. 500 divided by 100, I can have 100 go 5 times and make 500. So we can divide these even. So method number 1, okay, simply dividing these out by 100. Method number 2, simply after converting our fraction, okay, either method number 1 or method number 2, you need to convert the fraction into decimal first and then convert percent into decimal by either moving the decimal point 2 places to the left, remove percent symbol, or dividing that newly conversion of decimal from fraction and then move dividing that by 100 and remove percent. This is a foundation of percents. So you need to become a master of how to convert any percent into decimal, so that when we get into multiplying, dividing, adding and subtracting percents, then it will be a piece of cake for you, okay? And there will be time that you see 100%, 200%, 300%, or 370%. That's kind of a huge number with a percent, okay? So again, it works the same way. Percent means per 100, you can divide 370 by 100, or simply locate the decimal points after the whole number and then moving that decimal point 2 places to the left and remove the percent, okay? So 370, okay, divided by 100 will be 3.7, okay? Or moving decimal point at the end of the 0 to the left 2 places, 1, 2 will be 3.7 as well, okay? I found that most of the students tend to make mistakes on converting percent into decimal when it has fraction involved, okay? So here you have 3/4%. We have a fraction, so we need to convert that into decimal. I would simply write down a bracket so that, and then with a percent, so that I know that to these steps, I'm only converting fraction into its equivalent decimal. I haven't converted percent into decimal just yet, okay? So we say convert 3/4 into percent. We simply divide 3 by 4, right? So the first number is on top of fraction bar, and fraction bar means divide. So 3 will be our dividend, and 4 will be our divisor. So to lay out these correctly, first number go into the division bracket, second number will be our divisor, go outside of the division bracket. 4 is a whole number, so we don't need to convert decimal points or making our divisor into a whole number, because it's 4, it's a whole number already. Simply locate our decimal point at the end of our whole number in dividend. We don't move decimal on divisor, therefore we don't move decimal points on dividend. 3 divided by 4, it's too small for 4 go once, so we will have 4 go 0 times. At 0 after the decimal point, and 30 divided by 4, I can have 4 go 7 times, and that make 28. Okay, we have 2 left. Subtract 28 from 30. Add 1 more 0, bring that down. And then 20 divided by 4, I can have 4 go 5 times, make 20. So here it will be 0. Okay, so 3/4 will be 0.75. Okay, so simply convert fraction into its equivalent decimal will be 0.75. Now that's step number 1, converting percent into fraction into its equivalent decimal. So many of my students in the previous semester will write down 0.75. Okay, so that's not the final answer, because you simply only convert the fraction into its decimal. But now we need to convert percent into its decimal, right? So converting percent into decimal, we know percent means per hundred. So you can actually rewrite it as 0.75 divided by 100, method number 1, and then remove percent symbol. Okay, and here we divide 0.75 over 100. This is whole number, no need to move decimal points. So we don't need to move decimal points in dividend either. Okay, and then place your decimal points straight up on quotient. Now 0 divided by 100, that's too small. We have 100 go 0 times. 7 divided by 100, something too small for 100 go 1 time, so we have 100 go 0 times. 75 divided by 100 is still too small, so we have 100 go 0 times. That's 0. And here we have 750 divided by 100. I can have 100 go 7 times. 7 times 0, 7 times 0, 7 times 1. That's 700. And here we have 50. Okay, add one more 0, bring that down. 50 divided by 100, I can have 100 go 5 times. 5 times 0, 5 times 0, 5 times 1. And we can divide these evenly. Okay, so here, step number 1 will be 0.0075. Step number 2. Simply move decimal point 2 places to the left, right? So this is number 1, step 1, or method 1. Method 2, 0.75, okay, I can simply move decimal point 2 places to the left. And then insert 0, no preceding whole number, so we can enter 0 in front of the decimal point, so it will be 0.0075. Okay, so either way, it will work if you divide this number properly by 100, or converting or moving decimal points 2 places to the left. One is the other way around, right? We know how to convert. We did a few several examples of how to convert a percent into a decimal. Okay, the other way around, if we have a fraction or a decimal, we can convert that into percent. Okay, so step number 1, if the percent has a fraction or a mixed number, okay, same thing, we need to convert that into their equivalent decimal. Step number 2, when we are converting any whole number, fraction, or decimal number into percent, we are moving decimal point 2 places to the right, okay? Or we multiply that newly converted decimal number by 100 and then add percent symbol. Okay? So example of this will be, okay, so this is now converting decimal into percent. Okay, earlier we did a handful of examples of converting percent into decimal. So know that this is a reverse. Okay, when we have decimal convert that into percent, any decimal number, it could be decimal number, it could be whole number, it could be a fraction or a mixed number. Okay, if there's any fraction or mixed number, we need to convert those to its equivalent decimal first. Okay, and then we multiply by 100 and then add percent symbol. Or we simply use the shortcut, moving decimal points 2 places to the right and add percent. So example will be, if I have 1 over 5, then I need to make 1 over 5 into percent. Okay, so simply convert 1 over 5 into its equivalent decimal. Okay, 1 divided by 5 will be 0.2. And then we multiply these 0.2 by 100 and then add percent. Or we move decimal point 2 places to the right. Okay, so here, 1 over 5, convert that into percent. Simply convert this into its equivalent decimal first, because we know 1 divided by 5, I can have 5 go 0 times, but this is whole number, no need to move decimal points. We know when we don't need move decimal points in divisor, we don't move decimal points on dividend. So here we move decimal point straight up in a quotient and then dividing this as whole number. 1 is too big. 1 is not enough for 5 to go once. So we have 5 go 0 times and then add 0 after decimal point and add 0. And now 10 divided by 5, I can have 5 go 2 times. Right? So we get 0.2. So this is step number 1. We convert fraction into its equivalent decimal. Okay, so I have 2 methods. Method number 1, dividing this newly converted decimal number 0.25 multiplied by 100. Okay, and which will get 20, right? And then add percent symbol. So this is step number 1. Step number 2, 0.2, okay? Simply, we are going to convert that into percent. So when we convert any decimal number into percent, we are going to add percent at the end of that number. So when we are adding, we are moving decimal points to the right, okay? The number will become greater, okay? So here, when we move the decimal points 2 places to the right, 1 place, 2 places, and then insert 0 when there's empty spot, and then add percent symbol. So it will be 20%. So when we are making a decimal number or a whole number, it could be a whole number, right? So what about 1%? Or what about 1? The whole number 1, if I want to convert that into percent. Method number 1, okay? This is not a fraction or a mixed number, so I can simply skip step 1, okay? And my method number 1 is using that number, whole number, multiplied by 100, and then add percent symbol. So it'd be 100%. Okay, method number 2. 1, okay, as its decimal form, it will be decimal points after the whole number 1. Moving decimal points 2 places to the right, 1, and then 2, right? And then insert 0 here, and then add percent symbol. So if I have 1, changing a 1, the whole number 1 into percent will be 100. Okay, so if you have 2, changing that number into percent will be 200. If you have 3, changing that whole number into percent will be 300. And again, most of the students might find it a little bit more challenging when we are converting any number that contains fraction and then convert that into percent. So another example here, if I have 2, 1 over 8, right? So we learned previously that anytime we are converting a fraction or a mixed number into a decimal number, we could simply separate the whole number with decimal number, and then we add and then convert the fraction part into its decimal and add that to whole number. Or we could use a mixed number, convert that into improper fraction to find out its equivalent decimal number, and then convert that into percent. Okay, so here I can say method 1, 2 over 8, okay, is 2 plus 1/8, and I can find out the decimal parts, the equivalent to 1/8, right? So here I can divide 1 divided by 8. The top number before fraction bar or division notation go inside division bracket, and then 8 will be our divisor. Okay, whole number, we don't need to convert the divisor into whole number by moving decimal points because 8 is a whole number. So when we don't convert or moving decimal points in divisor, we don't need to move decimal point on dividend. So locate our decimal points on the dividend and then move it up straight on quotient. Now dividing this 1 digit at a time from left to right. 1 divided by 8 is too small for 8 to go once, so we can have 8 go 0 times. At 0 after decimal point, 10 divided by 8, I can have 8 go once. 8 times 1 is 8, so here we have 2 left. Insert 0 and bring down the 0. 20 divided by 8, I can have 8 go 2 times. 2 times 8 is 16. Here I have 4 left. At 0, bring that down. 40 divided by 8, I can have 8 go 0 times and make 40. And this, we can divide this evenly. Okay, so 2 plus 1/8, which is 0.125. And then we can say 2 over 8 will be 2.125. Okay, but we just only convert our fraction into its equivalent decimal. Now we can convert these into percent. So we can write down 2.125%. Okay, we are not there yet. Okay, we only convert these into from their fraction, right? So converting these to percent, we add percent symbol. We have to move decimal points 2 places to the right. Okay, so moving decimal points 2 places to the right, 1 place, 2 places. So it'll be 212. This is new decimal point, 0.5%. Okay, method number 1. Okay, and then we say we could also convert this to mixed number, right? 218, convert that into improper fashion from mixed number. So it'll be 2 times 8 plus 1 over the 8. Okay, and here you have 2 times 8 is 16, add 1, 17 over 8. Okay, and then divide 17 by 8. Okay, here 17 divided by 8, I can have 8 go 2 times, make 16. 1, bring down the 0, and then 10 divided by 8, I can have 8 go once. And then here you have 2 left. At 0, bring that 0 down, I can have 8 go 2 times, make 16. And then 4 left at 0, I can have 40 go, I can have 8 go 5 times to make 40. So here we have 2.125, okay? And I can either have 2.125 multiplied by 108%, or simply move decimal points 2 places to the right, 1 and 2, and then add percent symbol, 1 to 1.5%. Okay, what about 0.9? Okay, so this is a decimal number, right? No fraction, no decimal. So we simply multiply these by 100 and add percent, or we move decimal points 2 places to the right and add percent. Okay, so by now, if you think moving decimal points is easier, right? We just need to make sure that we move it to the right direction. If this is decimal number and at the end of our answer, I'm adding a percent, I'm moving decimals to the right. Okay, 1 place, 2 places, and then insert 0. So 0.9 will become 90%. Okay, same thing, 1.2857 is a decimal number, no fraction, no mixed number. So simply multiply these decimal number by 100 and add percent, or move decimal point 2 places to the right. Okay, 1 place, 2 places to the right, and then this will be 128.57 and add percent. 1, then it will be 100%. If we have 2, it will be 200%. If we have 3, it will be 300%. If it's a 5, then it's a 500%. Okay, how about 3.5? Same thing. Okay, multiply that by 100. Okay, there's no fraction, no mixed number, so this one is easy. Go directly into step number 2 and then 3. Moving decimal points 2 places to the right, 1 place, 2 place, and then add 0. So 3.5 will become 350 and add percent symbol, or simply multiply 3.5 by 100 and then add percent. Okay, so what about 67%? We need to convert that into decimal. So at the end of the number, we are actually changing these percent to a number of non-percent, right? So we are removing the percent symbol. When we are removing it, okay, we are moving decimal points to the left 2 places, okay? So here we have 67, locate the decimal points, the number 67. Moving decimal points 2 places to the left, so it'll be 0.67. Again, if you are not certain which direction to move the decimal point, okay, here 67%, we know percent means per 100. So you can simply write this as 67 over 100. So you know it's divide. When it's dividing, you are moving decimal points to the left, not the right. How about 0.3%? Changing that to decimal. Moving decimal point 1 place, 2 places to the left, and insert 0. There's no preceding whole number, so in the whole number parts, insert 0 as well. So 0.003 and remove the percent symbol. Then again, if you're not sure, simply divide 0.3 by 100 and you are still going to get the same 0.003. What about 1000%? Convert that into decimal. Percent means per 100, over 100, 1000 per 100 means over 100. Okay, and you can simply subtract the 2 0, the common zeros, so you have 10 left. Okay, or if you know that changing percent to decimal is simply move decimal points 2 places to the left and locate the decimal point after this number, moving that 2 places to the left, and then here we have 10.0, so it'll be 10 left. Ooh, what about 7.75%? Okay, so we need to convert that into its decimal, right? We have a fraction and a whole number, so we have a mixed number here. How do we work on this problem? To convert a percent contains a fraction into decimal. Convert that into improper fraction, right? 7/3/4%. Convert that into improper fraction. So I'm just going to write down this so I know that I'm converting only these parts to decimal, but we haven't convert percent to decimal yet. Okay, so convert 7/3/4 into improper fraction. We have whole number times denominator at numerator over the same denominator. Okay, here we have 7 times 4 is 28. At 3 will be 31, right? Okay, now this is an improper fraction. We can convert that into decimal. 31, the number on top of the fraction bar is our dividend, go inside division brackets. For the number after the fraction bar or division notation will be our divisor. Okay, this is whole number. No need to move decimal points right here in divisor. When we don't move decimal points in divisor, we don't need to move decimal points in dividend. Okay, simply add the decimal points after the whole number, then dividing these 1 digit at a time from left to right. So here, 3 is too small for 4 go once. I can only have 4 go 0 times. What about 2 digits? 31 divided by 4. We have 4 go 7 times, make 28. And then here we have 1 minus 8, 9 not powering 1. 11 minus 8 will be 3, right? Bring down the 0. 30 divided by 4 again, 28. Here, 28 subtract from 30, I have 2 left. Add 0 and bring that 0 down. 20 divided by 4, we'll go 5 times, make 20, so we can divide these evenly. Okay, so converting our mixed number into improper fraction and then from improper fraction to its equivalent decimal will be 7.75. Okay, so we only did the step 1 conversion. 7.75, we convert mixed number into its equivalent decimal. Then the next step is to convert these percent into its equivalent decimal. Okay, so we are moving decimal points 1 place to the left, 2 places to the left. Insert 0 here. Okay, there's no preceding whole number, so I can add 0 in the whole number part. So this will be 0.0775. 7/3/4%, convert that into its equivalent decimal first from fraction will be 7.75, and then 7.75%, convert that into decimal will be 0.0775. Okay, what about 1.5? Okay, now there's no percent after 1.5, right? So obviously this is a decimal number. We need to convert that into percent. So when we are converting this number into a percent, we are adding the percent symbol. So we are multiplied by 100, or simply move decimal points 2 places to the right. And then insert 0 here, and then add percent symbol. So 1.5 will become 150%. Next, we have, this is problem number 4 in 5.1 homework assignment. When we have 1/4, okay, so there's no percent symbol here, right? So obviously we need to convert this number into a percent. So what's our steps here in converting the fraction into a percent? We have a fraction, so we know that we need to convert that into decimal, its equivalent decimal first. And 1/4 is equals to 0.25. Okay. And if you need, you can simply divide this out. Okay, so we convert this, that's step 1. Fraction into its equivalent decimal. Step 2, okay, we need to convert this decimal into percent. So we need to add percent. So basically, we need to multiply this by 100 and add percent. Or we can simply move decimal point 2 places to the right and then add percent. So 1/4 will be 25%. So be careful on conversion, okay? This is not the answer. This is only step 1. Okay, you need to make sure that you add, move the decimal point 2 places to the right or multiply by 100 and then add percent, then this is the final answer. So if we can properly converting any decimal number into any decimal number, fraction, or whole number into percent, or any number in percent and to its decimal, then we will be able to use the percentage to find the problem solving with base, percent, and the amount. Okay, so example of base, percent, and amount type of problem. Supposedly you have $10, then $10 is all you have, right? And then you spend $5 for a breakfast burrito, beef burrito. What percent of money did you spend on the burrito? Okay, $10 is everything we have in our pocket. So my given information here is the total money I have is $10, okay? And I spent $5. I spent partial of the $10, $5, okay? So I need to find the percent of that $5 in the $10, the whole amount. So many of you are pretty much can just calculate in your head. I spent $5 and $5 is half of the $10, so I spend 50% of it, right? So to lay out this equation, we can say what percent of the $10 is $5? We know of in the previous chapter means multiply, right? In math, of means multiply. So what percent times $10 equals to $5, okay? So we could rewrite this as the percentage multiplied by $10 equals to 5, okay? And then we could rewrite this equation by simply, if we want to find the unknown, we need to get rid of these times 10, right? So I can divide 10 on left side. If I divide 10 on left side, I can cancel this out. And this is an equation, equal sign. If I divide by 10 on left side, I need to divide 10 on the right-hand side, right? So this cancel out. Then here on the right-hand side, we have $5 divided by 10, and that gives us 0.5, okay? But remember, we are looking for percent, right? So 0.5 will need to be converted into a percent. So 0.5, change that to percent, will be 50%. So I have spent 50% of the total money I have, $10, on a breakfast burrito. So if we have base, percent, and amount, any of these two numbers are given, we can find the third number, okay? So the equation for looking for base, percent, and the amount will be as such, okay? Base times percent will give us the amount, and base equals to amount divided by percent, or percent equals to amount divided by base, and then we need to convert that into percent. Okay, and always know that percent means the number that comes with a percent symbol is the percentage rate, okay? And base means the whole amount or the total amount. It's often followed by the words of. So you could have these formulas on the side when you are taking chapter 5 test, okay? So in 5.1, problem number 22, okay? You see that you have 0.25% of 1,600 equals to unknown, right? So this is a base, amount, and percent type of problems, because in here, we have a percent, okay? We have a base, okay? So we need to find amount. Then we say base times percent equals to amount, right? So we can plug this in. Base is whole amount, always normally followed by the word of. So base is 1,600, okay? And percent is the number that comes with the percent symbol. So percent equals to 0.25. So here we are looking for the amount. Okay. Before we compute, okay, we will always need to convert our percent into decimal. Now, converting percent into decimal, remove decimal symbol, moving decimal point 2 places to the left. Okay, or percent means per 100, dividing by 100, right? So again, divide by 100, you are moving decimal points 2 places to the left. When we are moving decimal points 2 places to the left, we move 1 place and 2 places. So there's no preceding whole number. We need to insert 0. So 0.25% will be 0.0025. Okay, now amount equals base times percent. My base is 1600. My percent will be 0.0025. Okay, so we can multiply this out. 1600 times 0.0025. Okay, 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 6 will be 30. Write 0, carry 3. 5 times 1 is 5. Add 3 will be 8. Okay, 2 multiplied by 0 is 0. Multiplied by 0 is 0. 2 times 6 will be 12. Carry the 1. 2 times 1 is 2. Add 1, 3. Okay, and 0 multiplied by 160 is 0. You can write down a whole row of 0. 0 multiplied by 160 is another row of 0. 0 multiplied by 160 will be another row of 0. You can write down those 0 out. But again, remember we talk about any number at 0 equals to that number itself. So you don't even have to bother to write down a 0. Simply add to get final product. Okay. And here we have 0 decimal points in our first factor, 0 decimal places in the first factor. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places in the second factor. So we should place decimal points at the 4th decimal places in our final product. 1, 2, 3. So amount will be 4. Problem number 30. I have 50% of 162. Okay, this is a similar example compared to problem number 22. I have percents, and then I have the base. Now I need to find amount, right? Percent is 50%, and then base followed by the word of with 162. So we need to find amount. Before we compute to find amount, we need to convert percent into decimal. 50%, change that to decimal will be removing percent, right? Which divide by 100 and remove percent symbol. Or simply knowing that percent means over 100, then divide by 100. So it will be moving decimal points 2 places to the left. Here will be our decimal point. Move it 1 place, 2 places to the left, and it will be 0.5. Okay, amount equals to base times percent. My base is 162. My percent will be 0.5. You need to convert percent into decimal so that they will be in the right format to add, subtract, divide, or multiply. Okay, so 160 times 0.5. 5 times 2 is 10. Write 0, carry 1. 5 times 6 is 30. Is that 131? 5 times 1 is 1. Add 3 will be 8. Okay, and here I have 0 decimal place in the first factor. I have 1 decimal place in the second factor. So I should place my decimal points at the first 1 decimal place. So the answer here will be 81. Then problem number 33. 187.5%, and I have 40. Okay, so this is another example of the percent is given, the base is given, we need to find the amount. Okay, so here we have percent equals to 187.5%, and then base is 40. Okay, we need to find amount. Then we know amount equals to base times percent. Before we compute, we need to convert this into decimal. Percent means per 100, so it's dividing 187.5 by 100. Or we simply know that we can move decimal point 2 places to the left and remove the percent symbol. Okay, so it'll be 1.87 1.875. Here, my base is 40. My percent will be 1.875. Now I can multiply this out to get my amount. And I like to use the shorter number as my multiplier. So I can put 1.785 times 40. 0 times anything that will be 0. Okay, so I can write down 0, 0, 0, 0 if I want to, but I don't have to because 0 times anything is 0. And 0 plus anything will be that thing itself, right? So here I can multiply the next digit. 8 times 5 is 20, write 0, carry 2. 8 times 7 is 28, and add 2 will be 30, write 0, carry 3. 4 times 8 is 32, add 3 will be 35, carry the 3, and 4 times 1 is 4, add 3 will be 7. So I have 1, 2, 3 decimal places in the first factor. I have 0 decimal place on my second factor, so I should place the 3 decimal places in my final product. So 1, 2, 3 decimal point will be right here. So the answer will be 75. And you might be feeling a little bit confused because of you just learned how to convert percent into decimal and then decimal into percent. And all of a sudden you need to find the amount, right? So just remember to identify the percent and the base and the amount, and any given two will help you to find the third element. So with the base and amount and percent formulas, we will be able to find the amount increase, the base, or the percent with any given two. Okay, and with that, we will be able to find the amount decrease or increase. We will also be able to figure out the percent increase or decrease from there. Okay, so oftentimes if you are either working in the sales field, say maybe some of you might be working in a car dealership, so you are selling automobile, or you might be working in the real estate, selling or buying homes. Okay, so in such industry, oftentimes we are comparing our sales with the previous year or the previous month to find whether we have a sales increase or a sales decrease. And to find out the amount increase or decrease, we simply find the difference between the amounts that we sell or we have for now with the previous time. Okay, and so you normally use the amount for current time or the newest time, and then minus the previous sales to get the amount increase or decrease. If the amounts now minus the amounts in the previous time, you had a negative difference, then you have to add a negative sign in front to specify that's the amount decrease. Okay, and if you have an amount decrease, then you will have the percent decrease. If you have amount increase, then you will have a percent increase. So we say the amount of change, whether it could be amount increase or amount decrease, we subtract using the amount, sales amount now minus the sales amount from the previous year. And then we will be able to calculate the percent decrease or percent increase. And to calculate percent increase or decrease, we simply use the amount increase or decrease and divide that or over the previous amount. So again, when we are comparing sales increase and decrease, we are always comparing the sales now to the previous times. So the previous amount will be our base. So here will be an example. If Fran, who is a real estate agent, and she sold 30 homes last year, and this year 36 homes. So obviously she sells 6 more homes than the last year, right? So she has a sales increase. We need to find the amount of change. So amount of change means amount of increase or decrease, and the rate of change meaning percent increase or decrease. So we learned the amount increase or decrease formula will be new amount minus old amount. So the new amount, the home she sold this year is a new amount. The home she sold last year is the old amount. So the new amount will be 36 minus 30, old amount. So the amount of change will be 6. Okay. And it's not a negative, so she has a sales increase. The percent of change equals to amount of change over the old amount. Because we are comparing the sales in now to the previous time. So we learn amount of change will be 6. The old amount will be 30. Okay? And we can divide this out. If we divide this out, 6 divided by 30, okay? Fraction bars means divide, number in front of the fraction bar is dividend, okay? And in dividing, we have whole number here in divisor, so we don't need to change decimal points in divisors. Therefore, we don't need to change decimal points in dividend. So move decimal points after my whole number and then move it straight up on quotient. Dividing one digit at a time from left to right. 6 divided by 30, it's too small for 30 go even once. So we have 0 after decimal point. 60 divided by 30, I can have 30 go 2 times. 2 times 0, 2 times 3 is 6. So here we will have 0.2. Okay, but we are looking for percent, right? So meaning the number we get is a decimal form. We need to convert that into percent. So converting 0.2 into percent will be, we are moving decimal points 2 places to the right. And then insert 0 here. And then we add percent symbol. So we'll be multiplying 0.2 by 100. Friend sold 36 homes this year, and she sold 30 homes last year. So she sold 6 more homes compared to last year. And therefore she has a 20% increase in sales. Okay. And for you, you might also be a supervisor. You want to award your employees who had a significant increase in their sales amount. You need to be able to tell whether your employee has a sales increase or decrease, right? And how much increase do they have, so that you can award them. So here we have the amount of change will be 6 homes that she sold more than last year. And therefore it's an amount increase, and then percent of change will be the amount of change divided by the old amount. It will be 0.2, and then convert 0.2 into percent will be 20% increase. In 5.2, okay, problem number 4, you can see certain problems start with 80, increase by 14%, and end up with what amount, okay? So some of you might not feel it's worded clearly. So to me, it would be easier if we could draw a graph. Okay. So we know that we start with 30. So this may be from 0. So we start with 80, not 30. Okay. And all of a sudden, we know that we have an increase. So we increase by 14%. So this is an increase of 14%. So what do we end up with? Okay. So this is what we started. 80. Okay. And we have increased with 14%. And we need to find the new, what we end up with. So when we end up with a certain number, that will be our new amount, right? So we want to find out what we end up with, meaning after the increase. So what's this new amount? This is where we end up. We started with 80 and then we increased 14%. So with this increase, what do we end up with? What's the new amount, right? So this is a base, percent, and amount type of problem, okay? We have 80, what we start with, which is the old amount. So old amount is our base. Old amount is our base, which is 80. Okay, we have a percent increase, which is 14%. Okay. If I have the O amount and I also have the percent increase, I can find out what's the increased amount, right? So whatever we get or find out the amounts that we end up with, this number is going to be 80 plus the increased amount. So it's going to be greater than 80. Okay, so that we know for sure. And the amounts that we find is going to be representing the 14%. If we can find out this 14% amount, then we add to the old amount, then we can find the new increased amount. Okay, so the amount, okay, we say amount equals to base times percent. Okay, and before we compute the percent, we need to convert that into decimal. 14%, convert that percent into decimal will be dividing 100. So moving decimal point 2 places to the left. 0.14. Amount equals to base times percent, and base is 80 times percent will be 0.14. Okay, so we can multiply this out. 0.14 times 80. I can multiply 4 by 0 is 0, 4 by 8 is 32, 1 by 0 is 0, 1 by 8 is 8, 1 by nothing, and 0 times 80 is 0. So simply write down this product. And then here I have 0 decimal place. I have 2 decimal places in the second factor, decimal point, 2 decimal places. So we have 11.2. Okay, so we know this is not final answer because we know what we end up with will be greater than 80, right? So what we just found is these amounts that represent the 14%. Then we start with 80 and then we increase with 14%, which is 11.20. Okay, so the new amount will be the 80 plus 1.2, which will be 91.2. Okay, similar example in problem number 5 of 5.2. Sales were 8,000 last month and increased by 4% this month. So what's the sales for this month? Okay, so again, this is a similar example to the previous problem that we just worked with. Okay, if I have sales that is 8,000, that's last month. Okay, and this month I have an increase. I have sales increase, that's 4%. Okay, so my sales this month will be the 8,000 plus the 4% increase. So it should be more than 8,000, right? So if we can find these increased amounts, and then we add it to the previous sales, 8,000, then we can find the sales for this month. Okay, so the O amount will be our base, which is 8,000. And then the percent will be 4%. With the O amount with the percent, we can find the amounts represent that 4% increase. Okay, so to find the amount, we need to convert our 4% into decimal. And percent means per 100 or over 100. So we divide 4 by 100. Simply divide 4 by 100. Have 100 go 0 times. Add 0. Add one more 0. And then you can have 100 go 4 times. So here will be 0.04. Okay. Now amount equals to base times percent. Base is 8,000 times 0.04. And then here we have 8,000 times 0.04. Multiply this out. 4 times 0, 4 times 0, 4 times 0, 4 times 8 is 32. We have 2 decimal places. Okay. 0 decimal place, 2 decimal places. So we should place decimal points or 2 decimal places. So this is 320. Okay. Meaning 4% increase is represent 320. So my previous amount is 8,000. And then I have a 14% increase. That's the increased amount is 830. So my new sales for this month will be 8,320. This is another way to figure out how to work on this problem. Method number 2. My base is 8,000. My amount for new amount will be the old amount, which is my base, 100% plus the 4% increase. So it will be 100 plus 4 So the new amount, this is new, will be 104%. Okay, and we say 104%, convert that into decimal so that we can compute. Percent means per 100 or over 100. You simply move decimal points 2 places to the left, right? So 1 and 2. So it'll be 1.04. Okay, we can then find the amount represent to these new cells, the old amount plus the 4% increase. So it will be 1.04. Base times percent. Base is 8,000. Percent is 1.04. Okay, multiply this out. 4 times 0, 4 times 0, 4 times 0, 4 times 8. 0 times 0 is 0. Okay, 1 times 0, 1 times 0, 1 times 0, 1 times 8. Here I have 0 decimal place. I have 2 decimal places. So I should place decimal points in 2 decimal places. So there we have 320. So if I use the 4%, multiply that by base, I'm only finding this amount. But if I look at the whole percentage amount right here, I can find the amounts that represent to that new percentage. So multiple ways to figure out a problem like this. Okay. So the answer for this problem number 5 in 5.2 is 8,320. And 5.2 number 1 in your homework exercise. Decreasing the base value of 280 by 25% gives a new value. Okay, again, the wording is not as great here by the publisher. Okay, so if this is confusing, try to draw a graph, right? So the base value, so which will be the OM, 280. So that's our base, okay? So it decreased by 25%. So we know that it went down 25%. Okay, so this is 25%. We want to find the new value. So this is the old value, 280, but after it decreased 25%. And then the green color is our new value. So we need to find the new value here. Okay, so if we find out the amount decrease that represent the 25%, we can subtract that from our previous amount. Then we can find the new amount, right? Okay, so here we have the base, we have the percent. The percent is 25%. Then we can find the amount that represent these 25%. Okay, so the amount will equals to base times percent. Before we compute, we need to convert 25% into decimal. So percent means per 100. So we divide by 100, right? So 25 divided by 100 will be moving decimal points 2 places to the left, 0.25. And 280 multiply 0.25. So multiply these out. 280 times 0.25. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 8 is 40. Carry the 4. 5 times 2 is 10. Add 4 is 14. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 8 is 16. Write 6, carry the 1. 2 times 2 is 4. Add 1, 5. 0 times 8 times 2 is 0. So we don't need to actually write down the 0. But you can if you need to. Okay, write down 0. 0, 10, carry 1, 7. And then here, we have 0 decimal place here. We have 2 decimal places. So we should place the decimal point at 2 decimal places. Here will be 70. So 25% means decrease by 70. Okay, so it was 280. And then it decreased by 25%. That 25% is 70. So minus 70, the new amount will be 210. It was 280 minus the decreased amount 70. So this new amount is 210. The other way that we learned earlier is if we know that whole amount is base 280 and the percent was 100, the whole, right? Whole was 100%, but it decreased by 25%. It was 100%, then it decreased by 25%. So the new percentage here should be 75%, right? So if you can realize that the new amount is actually the 100% and then decreased by 25%, so it will be new 75%. We can find the amount that represent that 75%. The amount is base times percent. If it's 75%, it will be 0.75. Okay, and here 280 times 0.75, we will get 280 multiplied by 0.75. 5 times 0 is 0, 5 times 8 is 40, carry the 4. 5 times 2 is 10, add 4, it will be 14. And 7 times 0 is 0, 7 times 8 is 56, so write 6, carry the 5. 7 times 2 is 14, add 5 is 19. Add this up. 10, 11, 21. And then here we have 0 decimal place, 2 decimal places. So we should place decimal points in the 2 decimal places. So it would be 210. Okay, I'm not sure. Did I miss 1 0 here? 280 minus 70 will be 210. Okay, so this is method number 2. Method number 1. So either way, if you can find out the percentage with the new amount, then you can use the base and then multiply that new percentage to find the new amount, new value. If you can't, increase percent to find the increased amount, or the decrease percent to find the decreased amount, and then subtract the decrease from the old amount, or add the decrease to the new amount to find the new value. The other example, if I have a decrease of 45 units, and that 45 decreased units is 15% of the base value of what unit? Okay, so we have a decreased amount, which is 45. Okay, so this one is a different example. I have a decreased amount, which is 45. And that 45 decreased amount is 15%. So I have a percent of 15% represent that decreased amount. We need to find the base value because base value of what units is not given. So find base. Okay, and we know that if we have base and percent, we can find the amount. If we need to find the base, then we use amount divided by percent. If we need to find percent, then we need to use amount divided by base. Okay, so here I have amount, I have percent, so I can find base. Before we compute, convert the 15% into decimal. So percent means per 100 or over 100. So it's 15 over 100. So we move decimal points 2 places to the left. It will be 0.15. 1, 2. So base will be amount 45 divided by percent, which will be 0.15. Okay, here the first number always before the division notation is our dividend, go inside division bracket. Number after will be our divisor. Okay, so dividing this, remember we talked about division in chapter 3. We need to make sure our divisor is a whole number. So moving decimal point 2 places to the right to make it a whole number. Okay, 0.15 become 15. If we move decimal points 2 places to the right, we need to do the same on dividend. Moving decimal point 2 places to the right. 1, 2. New decimal point will be right here. Move it up straight on quotient, insert 0. Now dividing 4500 by 15. I can have 2 digits 15, 2 digits from dividend 45. I can have 15 go 3 times. 3 times 5 is 5, carry 1. 3 times 1 is 3 at 1, 4. And then here I have 0. 0 divided by 15 can go 0 times. 0 divided by 15 can go 0 times. So my base is 300. So sometimes you are given with base and percent, you are looking for amount. Sometimes you are given with the amount and the percent, you are to find base. And there could also be time you are given with amount and base, you are to find percent. And the number you calculate at the end is going to be in decimal form, so we need to convert that to percent. Okay? So the answer is 300 here in problem number 10. And you are going to encounter homework problems and test problem as such. So if you have a pen store, okay, the volume sold in dollars for pen scraper this year, it's sold for $274.10. Last year, it sold $238.82. So we need to find the amount of change. And then with the amount of change, we also need to find percent of change. So this one is in the problem, homework problem 5.2, number 36. Okay, so we know that the amount of change equals to the new amount minus the old amount. Okay, so we have one sales for this year and one sales amount for last year. Which one is the new amount? 38.8. Okay, so I can get the difference on top. I know new amount is bigger than the old amount, so we have a positive difference, right? So that means we have a sales increase. So 274.1 minus 238.82. Line them up vertically according to their place value, place down decimal points, and then we subtract one at a time from right to left. Remember, we talked about this in session chapter 3. So here, 0 minus 2, not enough. I'm going to borrow 1. So 10 minus 8, 2 is 8. 0 minus 8, not enough, borrowing 1. 10 minus 8 is 2. And then 3 minus 8, not enough, borrowing 1. 13 minus 8 is 5. 6 minus 3 is 3. 2 minus 2 is 0. So my amount of change will be 35.28. If there's a negative difference, you have to place the negative sign. Okay, but we have a positive difference. Okay, so this is a sales increase. Okay, and then to find the percent of change will be the amount of change over the old amount, because we are comparing the sales to the previous time. Okay, so my percent of amount of change is 35.28. We just calculated right here, and then divide by the old amount. The old amount is the previous year's sales, 238.82. And I believe in the homework problem instruction, you are required to calculate the answer to the percent of change to the nearest tenth of a percent. Okay, nearest tenth of the percent. So meaning we have to calculate, this is the percent, this is the 10th digit. In order to round it to the nearest tens, we will need to have the digits on the right to determine rounding. Okay, so we need to calculate to after rounding to decimal places, right? So here we will divide these 35. The first number is our dividend. 0.28 divided by 238.82. Okay, so my first step is to make sure that my divisor is a whole number. So I'm moving 2 decimal places to the right to make it a whole number. I'll do the same, moving decimal points 2 places to the right in dividend. So my decimal points will be right here. Now, dividing this as we're dividing whole number, 23882 is 5 digits, and I only have 3, 5, 2, 8. That's 4 digits, right? So I can only have divisor go 0 times, and at the 0, okay, now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 digits. Okay, I can actually have 23882 go once because 2 times will be 4. That's greater than 3. That's too much. So I can have 23882 go once. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 8. 1 times 8. 1 times 3. 1 times 2. And now we can subtract this one at a time. 0 minus 8, not enough. I'm borrowing 1 from here, 7. 10 minus 2 is 8. And 7 minus 8, not enough. Borrowing 1. 17 minus 8 will be 9. Okay. 1 minus 8, not enough. Borrowing 1 from the 5, I will have 4 left. Here I have 11 minus 8 with 3. And 4 minus 3 is 1. And 3 minus 2 is 1. Okay. So this is less than 23882, which is good. At 0, and then bring down the 0. Remember, we need to calculate to the tenth of the percent, right? So convert decimal number to percent, we are moving decimal points 2 places to the right, right? So we will need to calculate 4 decimal places in order to do rounding to the nearest tenth of the percent. So we are only at first decimal place, okay? So continue to divide and finding 4 decimal places. Now here, I could actually have 23882 go about 4 times. Yeah, 3 times could work, but it might be too small. And for 5 times will be 5 times 2 is 10, but then I have 5 times 3 is 15. So that one could be over. So let's try 4. Okay, 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 8 is 32. So write 2, carry the 3. 4 times 8 is 32 again. So that's 35. Write 5, carry the 3. 5 times 3 is 12. Add 3 will be 15. Carry the 1. 4 times 2 is 8. Add 1 will be 9. Okay. So here we have 0 minus 8, not enough. Let's borrow 1 from 8. So 10 minus 8 will be 2. 7 minus 2 will be 5. 9 minus 5 will be 4. 3 minus 5, not enough. So I'm borrowing 1 from here. 13 minus 5 will be 8. 0 minus 9, not enough. So 10 minus 9 will be 1. So it's good that we are not over 23882. Okay, so I can continue divide 2 more digits. So add 1 more 0 and then bring that down. Now 18482. If I have 23882 to go, so 7 times. 7 times 2 is 14. Write 4, carry 1. 7 times 8 is 56. Add 1 is 57. So write 7, carry the 5. 7 times 8 is 56 again. So that's 61. Write 1, carry the 6. And then 7 times 3 is 21. Add 6 will be 27. So write 7, carry the 2. 6 times 2 will be 14. And add 2 will be 16. Okay, so here we can subtract. 0 minus 4 is not enough. So we are going to have to borrow 1 from the 2. So here you have 1. 10 minus 4 is 6. And here 1 minus 7 not enough. Borrow 1 from the 5. So I have 4 left. And then 11 minus 7 will be 4. 4 minus 1 is 3. 4 minus 7 not enough. Borrowing 1 from 8, we'll have 7 left. Here will be 14 minus 7 is 7. And 7 minus 6 is 1. So we need to find out 1 more digit in order to round it to the nearest tenth of a percent. So I'm going to have to add 0 and then bring that down. Now we have 17, 3, 4, 6, 0. I know that 8 will be 19, okay? But 7 will be 16 right here. So 8 will be too big for 2382 to go to make 17,173,460. So I can only have this go 7 times. Okay, so it will be the same 1, 6, 7, 1, 4, 0. And I just need to make sure that my remainder is not greater than divisor. Okay, so here we have 0 minus 0 is 0. 4 minus subtract from 6 will be 2. 4 minus 1 is 3. And 3 minus 7 not enough for powering 1 from here. Here we have 6. And then 3 will become 13. 13 minus 7 is 6. 6 minus 6 is 0. 1 minus 1 is 0. So 6320. That's good. We have less than 23882. Okay, so the answer is actually 0.1477. So some of you might be, oh, teacher, why do we have to find so many digits, decimal places? That's a lot of work. And this is why when it asks to find it to the nearest tens of percent, we need to convert this into percent, right? How do we convert this into percent? We multiply 100 and add percent symbol, or we simply move decimal point 2 places to the right. And then 0.1477 will be 14.77%. Okay, and we need to find the answer to the nearest tenth of a percent. So this is the key number to decide rounding. Okay, on the right hand side, 3 digits is right here. If it's 5 or greater than 5, we have to round up. Less than 5, we round down. So 7 is greater than 5. So to round this up will be 14.8%. If you do not find the 4 decimal places, then we can do rounding. So the answer here, percent of change, will be 14.8%. And I know this is a little bit complicated because we are dividing decimal numbers and we have to find decimal places, right? So here, just make sure that you calculate this diligently one at a time. It's okay to make mistakes, okay? Figure out where went wrong and then correct it from there and then find the right answer. Okay, and you are going to have to questions such as this in your homework assignment and also in your chapter 5 test. Okay, so with the amount of homework you will be doing in assigned in the first part of the chapter 5, you will be able to slowly get a hang of how to work on the percent type of problems. The other example will be problem number 17, thrift speed shop. Okay, they are selling batteries, and this year they sold 516. Last year they sold 541. Okay, so we want to find the amount of change and the percent of change. Okay, so we say amount of change equals new amount minus the old amount. Right? So the new amount, we have amount this year and amount last year. Amount this year will be our new amount. So 516 minus amount from last year, 541. So if you look at this problem, you know that this year, the sales amount is less than last year. So we have a sales decrease. So before you do anything, you need to write down a negative sign, okay? And then you can use a larger number, subtract the smaller number to find the difference. So write down negative sign and use the larger number 541 minus 560. Okay, 1 minus 6 not enough, so we're going to borrow 1 from the 4. We have 3 left, and then 1 become 11. 11 minus 6 will be 5. 3 minus 1 is 2. 5 minus 5 is nothing, right? So here will be negative 25. And the amount of change is not 25. It will be negative 25, represent a sales decrease. If you put down 25 in without a negative sign, then you are telling the audience that you have a amount increase. So make sure that you place the negative sign to represent the amount decrease. So if you have a decreased sales amount, then you have a decrease in percent, right? So you have to also put down negative sign in the amount of change. And we say the amount of change formula, percent of change formula is equals to the amount of change over the old amount. So the amount of change is negative 25. The old amount is 541. Okay. So we know that the percentage of change will be a decrease, so we put down negative signs. And now we just divide 25 by 541. So divide 25 by 541. My divisor is a whole number. Okay, it's after the division symbol or fraction bar. My dividend is the number above the fraction bar. Okay, that go into the division bracket. We don't need to change the decimal points. Moving decimal points to the right to make divisor is to a whole number because 541 is already a whole number. Therefore, we don't need to move decimal points on dividend either. Okay, so dividend decimal points will be after the 25. Move it up straight on quotient, and then we can divide these one at a time, right? So 25 is 2 digits. That's too small for 541 to go once. I can put 0 and then have 541 go 0 times. 250, even though it's 3 digits, but it's still not enough for 541 go once. So I can have 541 go 0 times. And if we need to find the answer to the 10th of the percent, we need to calculate to 4 decimal places. Okay, so we add one more 0. Now 2500 divided by 541, I can have 541 go 4 times. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16, right? 6 carry the 1. And then 4 times 5 is 20 at 121. Subtract, change to a different color. And here, 0 minus 4 not enough. So I'm just going to borrow 1 from my hundredths digits. Here I will have 4 left. And then I will have 10. Borrowing 1 from the 10, I will have 9 left. And then here I have 10 minus 4 is 6. 9 minus 6 is 3. 4 minus 1 is 3. And then 2 minus 2 is 0. Okay, so 3, 3, 6 is less than 541. That's good. Add one more 0. And bring that 0 down. And now we can have 561 go, let's see, maybe, let's try 6 times, because 6 times 5 is 30, right? So let's see if 541 times 6 will it be enough to make 3360. So 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 4 is 24, right? 4 carry the 2. And then 6 times 5 is 30. Add 2 will be 32. So that's not over 3360. That's great. So we can have 561 go 6 times, make 3246. Okay, so now we have add for 3 decimal places. Okay, let's subtract this. 0 minus 6 not enough, that's power 1. 10 minus 6 is 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. 3 minus 2 is 1. 3 minus 3 is nothing. Add 0 and then bring down the 0. Okay, so 1, 1, 4, 0. I think we can use 2. Okay, 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 4 is 8. And then 2 times 5 is 10. 0 minus 2 not enough, so I'm going to borrow 1 from the 3. And then here 10, 0 become 10. 10 minus 8, 2 is 8. And then 3 minus 8 not enough, borrowing 1. So 13 minus 8 is 5. 0 minus 0 is 0. 1 minus 1 is 0. Okay, so we have 58 left, which is less than 541. That's good. We have now 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places. So that's what we wanted. Okay, we have 0.0462. And carry down negative sign. Okay, changing this decimal to a percent, we simply move decimal points 2 places to the right and add percent, or multiply by 100, right? So if I move decimal points 2 places to the right, 1, 2, it will be 4.62%. And remember, we need to do rounding to the nearest tenth of the percent. So nearest tenth will be these digits, and the number to its right will be the key number to decide rounding. 5 or greater than 5 in the determined digits, we will need to round up. 2 is less than 5, so we round down. When we round down, we drop the rest of the digits to the right of the digits we are rounding to, and then everything else remains the same. So here, the answer will be negative 4.6%. Okay, so the process could be a little bit lengthy, but as long as you do the calculation diligently, and always make sure that you come back to double check when you have time, so that we will be able to get the correct answer. Okay, make sure when you are taking time to do chapter 5 homework assignments and also testing, you need to find a quiet space. Okay, set aside time so that you are not going to be interrupted, and then complete this part of homework assignments. The more you work on the problem, the more you are going to be able to understand, oh, this is the steps how I will be able to find out how to convert decimal into percent and then percent into decimal. I will be able to find the amount, base, and percent type of problems, how to figure out amount of change and percent of change.